This is just an air conditioning contactor. I just went to a contractor in town, supply house, and said I need a contactor, and they hooked me up. Okay, well, we're totally off the grid, so we want to catch our water off the roofs. We want to have water supply that's not a city water supply. So we have storage tanks. We have a tank here that's about 24,000 gallons. We have another one that's like 18,000 gallons, and then I have a reserve tank that I can gravity feed into these two systems up on a hill, and it's another 15 to 20,000 gallons. We've had as many as a 3-month drought, and that's enough water to, with conservation methods, to still irrigate the greenhouse, take showers, do the dishes, do laundry, all the stuff, the basic stuff, but it gets us through. So we filter it because there are pathogens that can grow in the water tanks, and we don't want to use chemicals because we want the water to be clean. And so we have a pump system here. The water comes in and goes through a pre-filter for the pump. It goes through several filters here to lower microns each one, and a carbon block to take out any pathogens. And then we have the ultraviolet light, which kills the last of the pathogens before it's put out into the water system. We have an electrical system of the 110 for the UV light, but the pump is 48 volts and it can run straight off the battery. So if the inverter for the solar system gets turned off, the pump could still run, and that would put contaminated water into the system. So I bought a contactor that we now have hooked up, so if the 110 volt system is not functioning, the pump will not function because the contactor won't make contact for the pump. It all runs off of solar. We're totally off the grid. We have no grid ties at all. Everything that we try to do is either solar or water catchment, or we try to return everything in good condition to the earth.
So we gonna slow it down, spread it out, sink and store. Yeah, we're talking about water systems, specifically domestic. And although this doesn't feel so domestic at all, it is. We're here at Kanakiki, and I'm here with Bill. And Bill, so because you're on this domestic water, you know, you have things like chlorine that comes into the water for cleaning it. Like, what do you do with the chlorine in the water?
We don't have any chlorine in the water.
But what about like fluoride and stuff that
No
they add to the water? No fluoride added to the water?
No, nothing.
But what about like all the pharmaceuticals that they can't filter out of the water?
No pharmaceuticals. It's all rain catchment.
All rain catchment?
All clean.
No, okay, so you're not even on the town water.
No, no town water.
Fully clean. That's awesome.
Yep. So we have these catchment tanks. We have a total of about 40,000 gallons of catchment water. Can get us through 3 months of drought. We then filter it through various filters and pump it so that it's clean of pathogens and everything. This here is our outdoor shower facility. We have a couple of showers here for people that want to shower. It's an awesome thing to come out in the moonlight and take a shower, you know, with the stars overhead. That's really fun.
Looking up at your bananas and just feeling like, yes, I have the abundance around me, and there's all these like papayas and herbs and all this goodness, and you're just enjoying life.
It's all nature here, yeah. It's all good for you. Good clean air too. Water sink, bathroom sink, like for washing your face or brushing your teeth or whatever.
And these are all cold showers, I guess.
No, we got hot water.
You got hot water.
Hot water.
And so it's using the electric. I mean, how do you do hot water?
Solar tank. I'm on solar heaters up on the roof.
Okay.
It's about a 110 gallon tank that stores water. 2 panels that heat it in storage. And if it's cloudy, no problems. We got the wood stove over here. We compost the trees for feeding the other trees, the fruit trees. We compost the weedy, the
nitrogen-fixing trees, right?
Nitrogen-fixing trees. The bigger woodier parts we use for firewood in the stove, which heats water, which then I take the ashes and then I spread it around because we tend to get acid rain here from the volcano. So we spread the ash around and it kind of sweetens the soil up a little bit, and the trees really like it. We had a star fruit down here. It was putting off sour fruit. Spread some ash underneath it. Next year was sweet.
Nice.
So
fantastic. So it has this like function of like using these plants that are nurturing the fruit trees, coppicing them, chopping and dropping, taking the bigger pieces, bringing it for another function, which is heating the space, but also because it's a space heater, but also heating the water.
Right.
And that burn is like a rocket stove kind of burn. It actually burns very clean, so we're not polluting the environment. We're actually cycling it.
Yeah,
no smoke at all. And those ashes go right back to the plants again, creating sweet fruits.
And then the drainage from all this goes right out to the fruit trees.
Again, another integration.
Yeah, goes right back to the earth.
And of course, the soaps and the various things are all natural, biodegradable.
Oh, that's we use a lot of awapui ginger when it's in style.
And awapui to shampoo the hair. I love it.
So it's all good. We got it planted around the farm. Yeah.
Very good, very good. So as you can see, it's easy. You can do it. Here it is. It's beautiful. It's, you know, a way of like being a part of nature and doing the things that you do every day. So it's like you're offering yourself the opportunity to know where your water comes from, where it goes, and you're a part of this cycle of being in your own abundance. So let's create it. It's a beautiful day. Welcome again to Design Recline. Today's class is about domestic water systems. And water is so essential for life, right? In so many ways. Not just for what we need to drink, but how we need to shower and bathe and take care of ourselves, right? So here is a beautiful example of a domestic water system we could take a look at. Let's check it out. Now what I love about this is the river rocks, right? It has this symbolism of water that has changed the surface of the space, and they have this lovely flow within the river rocks. I love that very much. I think it's very beautiful. And so it has that symbolism of, oh, water is here. I'm stepping into an area that's used with water. And I want to care for where the water comes from. This is important for you to understand. What sources is the water being extracted from, and is it being taken in such a way that it's actually sustainable, right? Or is it a finite resource that is causing damage to the environment? And so learn about where your water comes from. Is it from a well? Is it from a lake? Is it from, say, for example, desalinization, where they actually don't have any water and so it's coming out of the ocean? What is the source? And where does that water go to? So inside here is a very simple setup of a sink and a toilet. And of course, these are your waters, and of course it's a lovely outdoor bathtub. Beautiful. And these systems are coming from somewhere. It could be rain catchment systems. They actually have a huge tank up at the top of, I'm thinking, at least 20,000 gallons. And as that comes down, it gravity feeds into these. And when this is used, washing your hands, you're brushing your teeth, you're using the toilet, that stuff goes somewhere. And where it's going is also of importance, right? Because we want to find out its source, utilize as minimal water as possible so we're not wasting water, and then where it goes, we want to be sure to filtrate that so that its final destination is left clean from our space. This is good design. And so here they have, of course, regular flush toilet sink, they have the outdoor bathtub, and right here, looking through the sink, you're seeing the beauty of nature, and they have bananas that are growing off of the gray water. So the source of the water is coming out and being filtered into the earth, and they're absorbing the nutrients that was coming off of the person, right? And so we got to consider all of these facets. Let's go into the book and take a look at what options we have. So the 3 keys that you want to remember and never forget, this is why I put them in songs so you can sing about it, is this S, S, and S, right? So we're going to slow the water down. In what ways is the water flowing, either on surfaces that are structure-based or on surfaces on the ground, right? And how can we slow it down so we're not deteriorating either the soil or the surface of the ground or of our structures or whatever it is. From there, once you slow it down, spread it out, right? If we have too much water, then we can spread it to areas where we can catch what we need and then move it in a very slow fashion, right? If we have too little water, of course, we want to spread it across the landscape and as well as in our domestic area so that we are sufficiently using that water before it gets spread to somewhere else off of the property, right? and then sink and store it, right? Once you move it to a particular location that you see of benefit, let's sink it into the earth, which most of your water, you definitely want to do that. So we do crazy moat systems, for example, and lots of green growing in order to infiltrate that water back into our water reservoirs below, and or store it. What is the quantity that you need in order to be fully self-sufficient, right? So looking at how much water is being used in the house, and then calculating what capacity of catchment do you need based on your dry season, right? So you have sufficient water needs forevermore. Very important. Let's do it. Slow it down, spread it out, sink and store. Slow it down, spread it out, sink in. We're gonna look at it, care for it, build relationships. Look at it, care for it, build relationships. Let's go.
So you can see here we are washing some bok choy, and we actually have created this sort of interlink system where rather than wasting the water, it actually flows through these pipes, and we have a series of ponds in this back area where the water is recycled and reused. And we have fruit trees and other edible plants growing there. So here what we have is our pond system that is collecting all the wastewater from our wash area. We have a first step right here. So this is like a filter system where the water flows into here. We've got a lot of reeds and hono grass growing. And we have the pipes that overflow into this main pond. And this is the main, we have like, it's about 5 feet deep in here, all naturally lined. And then we have a lot of fruit trees, sugar cane, more kalo and taro growing around the edges. And we actually have a third pond on the other side that is sort of the overflow for when this gets too full, that we actually, rather than overflowing into the neighbors, it'll continue into the next pond. So when we made these ponds, this system's only been in place for maybe about 1.5 years now. And we actually just dug a hole and ran water into it. And we haven't had to do any lining, any like forming of anything. It's just we have such dense, heavy clay out here that it's just really watertight, and because we're using so much water in our wash station, they are almost always full. So you can see growing in here we have water lettuce and water hyacinth. Both are feeds that we supplement our chickens with. So they get a grain-based feed, but every day we have people harvesting from in here, and it just regrows so quickly that it's a never-ending supply of food. And this is one of the many ways that we try to stack functions and recycle nutrients and within the farm. Now we're coming into our wash area. This is sort of like the brain of our farm. This is where all the we meet every day. This is where all the magic happens. All the vegetables and food that we harvest and grow gets brought back in here. It is washed, processed, bagged, packaged, and then delivered to restaurants and farmers markets.
We've tested the water. We've had classes and biologists that come, and we get little Frisbee plates and see what kind of critters we're finding in the water. And what we're finding is actually the water is really, really clean. And the good news is because our gray water actually gets treated and goes into this pond. And so we know, because of the biology that's in the pond, that the gray water is being fully treated through a gravel filter before it gets into the pond. And actually plants probably soak up most of it anyway. But we did test it as it enters the pond for any kind of soap sludge, and we found none. So it's fully treating our kitchen. Actually, it's not even gray water. In the state of California, that's technically black water. Kitchen sink water is black water in California. It's gray water everywhere else. We're just lucky here in California. So anyway, but it does need to be treated a little bit more than like shower or bath water because of all the stuff you put down your sinks and grease and fat and all that. And we've been really hard on our gray water system because I want to see what it's made out of. So we'll dump old grease and old goat milk or whatever down the drain and see how it's behaving, and it's treating it really well. And this has been here for 13 years, and it's no maintenance, zero for the underground part. We have a wood chip mulch filter that we change out every 6 months or so.
There's another stormwater management bios. So here we're intercepting all the flow from the various guest houses, and we have a series of rain gardens and staggered terraces, and then we're flowing the water in here, capturing any sediment that's delivered here next to the road so we can clean it out with a backhoe if need be. That water spills over the edge, goes under a culvert, but we also have a rolling dip here for surface flow, and all of that water we then direct across the road, in this case, down to the pond in the north garden below. And so this is all integrated in our system of stormwater management, groundwater recharge, sediment sequestration, wildlife habitat enhancement. There's another graywater, a little graywater basin with a branch drain that shows the lids towards a little mulch basin down there. So in the guest houses, all of the gray water from the bathroom sinks and showers is distributed through branch drain systems on site for irrigation of the landscape here. All the stormwater again is going into stormwater basins, and then this building within the month will have the compost toilet installed in it as well. So here we are behind one of the kiwis, and this is a beautiful 40-plus-year-old fuzzy kiwi that we use again, as we looked at earlier, as a pergola, and the roots are below the system here, and so we irrigate these kiwis in the summer by using these gray water systems. And so we have the 1-inch pipe that distributes the water from the laundry to landscape system, branching into a 1/2-inch pipe there, and then it goes into this system here with the little pipe, and then it's surrounded, it's dug out and excavated into a basin of wood chips. So the water then is distributed from the laundry, falls into this mulch shield that keeps the mulch out, infiltrates down, and then saturates the mulch, the wood chips, which then is a opportunity for the kiwi roots to come and get their irrigation in a soil food web system. So that's the point of discharge, treatment, and irrigation in a laundry landscape system all in one. Subsurface disposal in a mulch shield, many branches off of there, and it's pressurized due to the pump in the laundry machine, which we can look at. One of the laundry landscape systems, we use the larger Jandy valve on ours instead of, many people will notice that often is a 1-inch brass valve. We've sized this up because over time, because this is a commercial scale operation, we were possibly getting some clogging there. So you'll notice we have a bigger Jandy valve, and then when it's turned correctly, it goes this way, an air release valve so it doesn't siphon, and then that 1-inch pipe goes out the building and is then distributed throughout the landscape at the mulch basins for the irrigation of the water on site. We do have a valve here, so if we need to use something nasty, which we try never to use bleach, I don't know if there's any on site, like we only use soaps like Oasis, which is a biocompatible laundry detergent. But the beauty of this system is we barely even use laundry detergent because we have an ozone-based system. So all the laundry is washed on cold water, which saves propane and energy on the water energy nexus, and we're just using ozone as our primary detergent, if you will. So there is technically no detergent, but sometimes for whites and things they want to bump it up, we'll use that, and then that is then going out in the landscape. So it's ozone just becomes oxygen, and it's incredibly safe. It increases the aerobic content of it, which improves the functioning, we think, we don't have the science on this, of the mulch basin out there. So it's truly a biocompatible system that allows us to stack functions by using the power of the laundry machine to pressurize and irrigate a system, which saves us the water needed for irrigation otherwise in the system. So we're saving both energy and water with an on-site resource that's very affordable and doesn't require a septic system for the primary use of it, and it's a non-detergent based ozone. So this Pure Wash system is the one we've been using for a number of years. It has inside it, there's a little bit of electric current in there, and the electric current creates ozone, O3, 3 oxygen atoms combined together, and ozone is very reactive. It oxidizes things, and so it's very effective as a cleaning agent because the extra oxygen wants to grab onto things, technically, right? It has a high exchange capacity, if you will, electronically. So ozone is very effective in doing a number of things, but in this use it's for a substitute for laundry detergent, and it requires that we just use cold water. So the heating of water, very expensive, to the planet, depending on how you heat it with electricity or natural gas or propane. So by using cold water and non-detergent, our overall electric water carbon footprint is being reduced, and we think that yields a greater portfolio of sustainability.
So more and more municipalities see the value of doing that, mostly around storm management and open space, because as we develop, we displace nature. And by putting it on the roof, we're replacing it. And dealing with our stormwater management, we take the stress off of the infrastructure that's continually degrading and needing support. So if they can take water out of that stormwater system, have it treated in the sense that it's getting filtered, but also held before it runs off. So that whole principle that we see in the rural environment of slowing water down, spreading it out, and sinking it in, we're mimicking that here in the urban environment, which that's the trick, that's the dance. How can we take what we observe in nature, in the wilderness, in nature, on our rural farms, how can we bring that into the city and create a catalyst for change?